News from Washington these days is mostly about political dysfunction. So we thought it would be a refreshing change to talk about something that government got right. And what it got right was cultivating the growth of a new digital economy based on IT and the internet.
In a bipartisan way, we spent a lot of time together thinking about this. And we came to a very similar conclusion about the power of trying to create an environment for investment and hands-off and care. I remember we cooked up the phrase, vigilant restraint.
Telecommunications Act of 1996, as important as it was in establishing a framework for competition, it didn't go far enough in really putting a stake in the ground that we weren't going to regulate the internet with traditional telephone regulation. And as a result, we're still fighting these battles.
One of the things we realized then were blacks and browns and young people were jumping ahead of the internet in terms of wired internet and going to wireless. And if you look at what's really helped squash the internet, the digital divide for people of color, it's disproportionately the wireless revolution more than almost anything else.
This thing was exploding on us rapidly. And you could visibly taste, feel, and see this evolution. And I think this organic metaphor, this sort of like a brain synopsis kind of metaphor that took over, really did humble a regulator. And you could kill this living thing with the wrong choices.
The internet, and what we saw at the beginning of the Obama administration was that the consensus for internet-led regulation was fraying. And you saw it, we tried to categorize it later as there were the cyber autocracies, what Michael's talking about in terms of internet freedom. They wanted to censor, they wanted to control, they didn't like the openness. Then there's this sort of what I've called proto-mercantilist thing going on, where other countries are jealous because they see how successful US companies are on the internet, and rather than seeing the internet as a platform for their companies to innovate, they just see Google coming in and Facebook, and they're jealous.
I think the cable modem order that we decided with lots of hand-wringing, deep work, statutory work, legal work, policy work, in which we classified it as an information service was smart. We didn't say it was completely unregulated. We believed that it was an important architecture and the government should have a degree of oversight.
In the 2008 political campaign, I remember distinctly when net neutrality became an issue in the campaign. And both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton went to address the Netroots Convention, and each of them were required as Democratic candidates to profess their views on net neutrality. I remember thinking, this is really bad, because it's going to politicize internet policy and it's going to make it much more difficult for people in government to make the right decisions.
We really did think you had to do the hard work of understanding the legacy of Computer 2 and the fact that Congress had enshrined that distinction, and the idea of creating a regulatory classification would let this thing breathe.
So I guess the most important message that I would give to this audience today is not about the past, but about the future. And that is that many of the experiences that we all learned in the 90s and in the last decade or so are lessons that we have to bring internationally and continue to show the rest of the world the benefits of the policies that we've created here at home.